Okay, gang, we're going to do video 95. And you'll see what I've got going on here, and it's pretty exciting. I have the whole upper level redone and the track all rerouted. I do not have the scenery touched up or anything yet, but let's take a look at what I have gotten done. Okay, gang, we have begun. The track that you see that was already in over there, I've got to tuck it in tighter along the edge of this loop that's exposed now and tie it in right here. But you can see how it swung out wide. I've got to narrow that up so that I can bring the other mainline track around, which should not be a problem. I have plenty of foam there to put it on, and then we'll figure out what to do with the scenery behind there. All we need is a crack for that one track to go down. And it's coming up here. And the double crossover is out. We have to tack on to that piece of loop right there and go over and attach that to that main line where the green tape is and the feeder wire. The other main line is the one on the other side. We've got to bring that down and next to this one and bring it around and tie it in over there when I get it over there. Now over here I have the bridges out, which was a piece of cake. They just pull out of there. And I have got to take that turnout out of there and move it over to the outside track and then cut the scenery back and bring my arc around. Cut that scenery back and bring that arc around, and the double turnout or the double crossover that I took out, put it in right there. Obviously with all the scenery here, this is going to be a little more challenging, and I will probably only be able to lean over there for a few minutes at a time, so I'm prepared, but we'll see how it goes. Video 94, I forgot to show you guys. Well, it got too long anyway. The railing that I put in along there, keep the cars from blasting off into the track. Put up some chain link fence here to guide people over to the depot. And there is the new depot. And the parking lot. And the lighting. And the caboose in the little park, which I do not have down permanently yet. I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to remount that onto something else or maybe glue a sidewalk to it. I really don't know how I'm going to clean that up, but I'm going to clean it up. Put a little picket fence in between that and the diner. Molly's Diner is in place and glued. The Hogan is in place and glued. The trading post and their house is not glued, but that's where it's going to go. I did, whoops, let me get over here. I did put the big buffalo out there. And everything else is pretty much like you saw it, but as you see, we're getting moving. Okay, gang. You can see what I have here. I have the two sensors for the crossing gate, which will go back in over in here somewhere. And you can see that I took the number 4 turnout that was here, and we will just move it over there. And the straight line will go over and connect to that track. I've taken off the track going back there. And you can see that the track will come around here and tie into that. Pretty easy peasy. I'll just have to fix the scenery on the bottom of the mesa there. And it shouldn't be a big deal once I get that far. I have some cleanup to do there. I'm going to have to level off, figure out how to level off the track there between here, which is about a 1/2 inch higher than over here. So I might just put some cardboard under there to support the curvature of the track over there and not worry about it. And then a little straight up wall of scenery in between there, but it'll go back looking like almost like it was, and then It'll come around there and tie to what will be the double crossover there, and we should be good to go. Okay, gang, this is Wednesday. You can see how I have the two main lines now routed around the curve. The mesa has been cut off somewhat. We have the double crossover in, as I had said, the original double crossover, and we have all of those main lines tied all the way down to where I need to take the other two turnouts down there. So this, once again, is a proof of concept. This works. The two main lines will come right down here, make this little jog, come around the curve, and right down the yard. Then the outer track has the option of going down below to what will become the staging yard. So that's where we are right now, and I'm going to go down and work on the other end a little bit. Okay, gang, I had to take a break today because I had about 10 feeder joiners and that had been hoarding for some time, and I know that everybody was short of feeder joiners, so I put the 10 I had in stock and then sold them and got a wild hair to do this project, and I didn't have any feeder joiners, and I need some. So I had to go in and I had to solder up some from some of the viaduct. We had a bunch of the viaduct joiners that we hardly ever sell, and I cut the ends off and made 6 joiners. 6 feeder joiners. Soldered my own. And if you want to know how to do these, on our how-to page under the track section, there's a how-to on how I do those. I used a different wire in those, but I wanted to use the same wire that the Cato regularly uses, so I made them out of I took the other ones out of stock and cut the tops off and then soldered them to the regular joiners. But there's a how-to explanation on our how-to page. So I'm going to stick these in and see if I can get what I got done so far to function. Okay, gang, I got my feeders hooked up. Let's see what happens. Okay, gang, I think you can see right over here where I have removed the turnout and the turnout over there. And I have connected the tracks straight through. And I have cut the hill back. And I have made the two main lines come right around the outside. And right back over here to the two main lines. What I haven't done is moved any of these tracks over here yet, and that's probably what I'm going to do next. But before I do that, let me show you what I need to do. Okay, you guys have seen all this track here. I found out I had those 2 sensors on the wrong track, and my crossing gate was kind of going goofy. But I figured that problem out, got that fixed. That turnout there is connected to number 4, which is the one that it's actually the one that was there. It was just where this clean piece of curved track is right here. I just moved it to the outside track. Now the straight leg of that goes on down the hill on one track, and the 2 tracks come around, which I think I've already shown you in the other video. But what I got to do is come back here and make sure that those are in place and they're flat, and I'll use a hot glue gun to kind of stick temporarily stick that stuff down to make sure it's all level and flat. Then I've got to cut a slot in the foam and bury those the wires that go to the sensors, because I didn't want to drop them below the table, because then they have a tendency to get torn and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to come back, bury those, and get that track leveled up with the hot glue gun. Then I'm going to put the bridges back in place, and then we're going to take a test lap or two. Oh, the beauty of foam. Now all I have to do is put a little piece of masking tape over that. Problem solved. And then I'm going to level up track. Okay, here we go on another test run. This train has left here on the front of the layout and is now going through the newly redesigned main line. Just as the other video was, but just a different train. And I'll show you something down here. Let me run down here. I now have the double crossover in. I have it functioning. And I have the tracks moved up. And I still have room in there for my passenger train. So I think these tracks will be sufficient. I did put a little piece of straight in there, so we had a little straight between the double crossover and the sidings. But here comes our train. I also have this track, as you can see, there's a bunch of hot glue there. That's to stabilize all that track, because there's nothing under it. Oops, turnout thrown wrong. Because I just got done testing the lower level as well. So if it hadn't have been an operator error there, everything would have worked fine. Now I'm going to run this guy up to the top and stop it and see how many cars we are over length, if we are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 cars in a caboose. I think that that's a sufficient length. I don't recall really running trains that were much longer than that, but it's a sufficient length. But anyway, this is the new track plan. It's obvious that it works. And I don't know where I'm going to go next or what I'm going to do next. I was going to go underneath the layout. Let me back up here. I had to pull some carts out to be able to hook up the two feeders that you see there, the white blues, to the bus line, but they are not soldered on. The switch leads that you see hanging down there are 11 and 12, which were the ones that were back to the left. Only now you can actually see where it was right here in the board. And so they've moved up. And so I'm not going to put these back yet until I figure out if I got to get under there and solder or whatever. All the rest of these switch leads that are hanging down are for all of the yard tracks. I think we've covered that before. I have some scenery work, obviously, that I have to repair back there. And these pieces laying here are the pieces that originally came out of there. And I'm just they're kind of laying down there now, but I'm gonna stand them, well, when I say stand them upright, I'm gonna tilt them upright like so, and put them where I want them to be, and hot glue them in place. And then the new scenery will go right on top of those. And then I'm gonna put a thin, maybe a 1-inch piece of foam down along, hot glue it to the side of the 2-inch foam, straight along there, and I will attach scenery material to that, which will pretty much almost obliterate this track that's coming up from down below, but I will still have good access to that track. And I think there was a little bit of confusion on the other videos, the video that I was going to do one or the other. I actually intend on doing both. I have phase 1, which is changing the upper level to all on the upper deck of the layout, and you obviously saw that just now in these videos. But the idea of leaving one track down below is to put that staging yard down here, and I think my next move might be to take this piece of fascia off that has the Santa Fe badge on it, and kind of scope that out a little bit and see what the possibilities are before I go ripping and tearing anything out. I just want to take that fascia panel off there and see what I got. Okay, everybody, hope you enjoyed that. And as usual, thanks for watching. Sorry I didn't surprise you this time, Nancy.